Meeting of Council for Monday, April the 20th is called to order. May I have a motion for Council to adopt the agenda of the April 20th regular meeting as presented? Councillor Butler. Second. Councillor Crog. All in favor? So carried. May I have a motion from Council to adopt the minutes of the April 7th Committee of the Whole meeting as presented? Councillor Thompson. Second. Councillor Rishagan. All in favor? So carried. And may I have a motion from Council to adopt the April 7th regular meeting minutes as presented? Councillor Rishagan, Councillor Thompson. All in favor? So carried. We'll now move on for the reports from our councillors, starting with Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can't seem to get my microphone to turn on here. I think. Is your thing turned on?
It's on.
Oh, that's blinking. Anyways, I'll just talk loudly. I was absent from the previous meeting as I was out of town for 10 days on a family vacation, and I didn't turn my computer on once. I didn't have a telephone. I just enjoyed my time. But when I did get back, I took the time to review the video from the meetings that I missed and to discuss any questions that I had with the mayor. I was also absent from a Rec Commission meeting, but I met with Tom Sprado, the Rec Director, to discuss the budget that was released and other issues as well. On Wednesday, the 15th, I attended the strategic planning session at City Hall. It was very beneficial. I enjoyed chatting with everyone about our vision for the future of Grand Forks, and I think it's something I'd like to spend more time doing. I thought it was great. Also that evening, I attended the Biz After Biz, put on by the Chamber of Commerce at the new Work and Play, which looks fabulous, and congratulations to the local couple that's taken that on. On Thursday the 16th, I attended the official opening of the recently renovated PharmaSave building. Again, local people doing great work. The building looks fabulous. The selection's great. It's a nice modern look. And I'm looking forward to attending the AKBLG meeting this week in the Cusp. We'll be there for 3 days, meeting with representatives from other municipalities in the area. And that's all for my report.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
I'll talk loud, please. April 8th, I attended a presentation on asset management at Gallery 2. April 9th, Christina Benti and Caleb Moss, the former mayor and a current councillor of the town of Golden, facilitated a workshop for our council on system analysis and check-in. April 10th, I attended the following events: a tour of the Nature Trust property in the Overton Creek area and the Gilpin Grasslands Class 8 Park. I also attended the grand opening of the Learning Garden, and that evening attended a presentation by Dr. Mike Pearson on Where Water Matters. April 11th, I attended the annual general meeting of the Bondi Museum Society, and I am sorry to have to advise that Bob de Martelaire, who was a valued member of not only the museum, but the Woodworkers Guild and an asset to the Fall Fair, passed away on Wednesday.
Oh, really?
Okay. April 15th, I participated in our strategic planning workshop, and I also attended the monthly meeting of the Phoenix Foundation of the Boundary Communities later that day. That's my report.
Thank you. Councillor Rishagan.
Thank you, Mr. Oh, mine works. For once. This time all year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple motions I want to make here this evening, and they all stem from the team building exercise that we had with Christina Benti and Caleb Moss. Is that the name? Yeah. It was what I found to be a very informational workshop that kind of gave us ideas on how to streamline processes, to understand more so that these meetings are essentially business meetings of the corporation. We're making decisions, and the individuals here that come in the gallery are watching us to make sure we're open and transparent in what we do. So I noticed that when it comes to the question period at the end, our procedures bylaw states that the question period is limited to only items on the agenda. But typically we've been straying from that, allowing questions generalized to do with subject matter that has nothing to do with anything on the agenda. So the first motion I want to make is in regards to hopefully curbing the individual who speaks and asks the same question over and over again, looking for a different result that has nothing to do with the agenda. So inasmuch as the council meeting is a business meeting of the corporation of the City of Grand Forks, and inasmuch as the gallery of said meetings are invited to observe the meetings, and further that at the conclusion of a meeting of council, the public is permitted to ask questions to council, be it resolved that council reaffirm its current position that all questions asked during the question period of the public be directed to the mayor, and that they be on point and only in reference to an item on the agenda discussed during the meeting. Any other inquiry should be directed to the mayor outside of scheduled council meetings or brought forward as a delegation.
Do I have a second to
I'll
that?
second that.
Councillor Thompson. Does council wish to have any discussion on that subject? Or deeming out of area? All in favor of that motion? So carried. Okay, may you continue with your report, Councillor Bashir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The second motion I would like to make has to do with the committee of the whole, and it ties in directly with this. So the second motion I have, inasmuch as the committee of the whole meetings are a functional interactive meeting involving citizens of Grand Forks who are offered to participate as the meeting progresses, and further again that at the conclusion of said meeting there is a question period for the public. So be it resolved that being that the public is already offered the opportunity to participate as the meeting is in session, the council directs staff to remove the questions from the public at the conclusion of the committee of the whole meeting, as it is in fact a redundancy, as the public has a chance to speak on agenda items as they are called, and further direct staff to make the necessary adjustments to the procedure bylaw as necessary. Again, if the public has concerns about issues outside of the agenda presented, they should either come as a delegation or make an appointment to speak to the mayor outside of council meetings.
A second to that motion.
I'll second for discussion.
Discussion. Councillor Crawford. I see if yours
Mine
works.
works.
Oh, look at that. Maybe.
Maybe. I can see the rationale to the first motion, as we've dealt with that before at the business meeting. And just wondering the rationale for this. I know you tried to, or have explained it as part of the motion, but I personally don't see it as an issue at the end of the evening, because somebody may have a second thought about something. So I'm just wondering how that's going to benefit us if we remove that. Through you.
I guess to respond.
Councillor Thompson. Councillor Bashir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In regards to the question, I guess what I'm looking for here is again to curb the tangents that typically happen at the end of the committee of the whole, where we speak about this issue, that issue, and then the question period goes off in this direction completely different, where our procedure bylaw states that we should be sticking to the agenda items that are there. And I think we're allowing a little bit too much leeway in terms of following on procedures bylaw. We've been told that, how if the city isn't going to follow its own rules, why are we asking citizens to do it? And this is just that. We have a policy in place, a procedure bylaw that states that, we should stay on point. Questions from the public should be questions should be only on agenda items. And being that during the committee of the whole, the individual has a chance to speak as the agenda items come up. So I think at the end of it, it's just a redundancy, in my opinion. Or if we were to keep it, then we make sure that we keep it on point to the agenda items. And if if there's any other discussion, if someone wants to speak about the moon, then they make, you know, an appointment with the mayor, and they discuss it there, or was it a delegation? It's just, those questions at the end go so far away from what should be discussed during the question period.
If I may just add, as mayor, I believe that at the committee of the whole meeting, the public should be allowed to discuss certain items, because that's their only chance to voice their opinions. At regular meetings, yes, they must refrain to items on the agenda. Now, having said that, should any items come up at the committee of the whole meeting which are completely off the wall, so to speak, then yes, they can either put their concerns in writing or address it to myself or to our CAO, so as to not go on forever and ever on items that have no relevance whatsoever to the discussions that we're having at the meeting. Councillor Thompson. I think the batteries are gone almost.
I guess I died. I think regrettably, what's caused this is that the opportunity for the public to participate with questions at the end of the committee as a whole has been somewhat abused. And issues that have been dealt with, that council has answered openly and honestly, but it isn't the response that the inquirer wants to hear. And so they continue to bring it back to the following meeting, is unfortunate, because if we do adopt Councillor Weershagen's resolution, then it could preclude some very good observations or questions from individuals who have a legitimate and new concern that they want to ask about. How we can resolve this to the satisfaction of all of us, I just don't have any good answers for that.
Councillor Weershagen.
I see it broke already. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, again. What I'm asking for, like I said, is for the questions at the end of the agenda to be removed. Currently, our procedure bylaws, our agendas are standardized. We use the same agenda format for regular meetings, for committee of the whole meetings, for in-camera meetings. It's the same structure. So as it stands right now, our procedure bylaw only allows, even during the committee of the whole meeting, for those at the end to ask questions only to do with the agenda items. So regardless, all I'm saying is that it becomes a redundancy, and I would like to see it removed. I would like to see a separate procedure bylaw for the committee of the whole and a separate procedure bylaw for the regular meeting, because right now it does not allow for any kind of discussion outside of the agenda as it is right now. But like you say, it has been abused in the past. So I'm just asking for that to be removed, and even if it has defeated this motion, it would still not change the fact that questions cannot be anything but that to the agenda.
So are you referring to the procedure bylaw when you mentioned to be changed? Are you referring to it that there should be a separate procedure for the committee of the whole, which in fact will allow the public to speak on diversified issues, but not continually repeating previous issues?
No, quite the contrary. I'm saying that there should be, yes, two different procedure bylaws, two different agendas, formats for each meeting. But at this point, I would like to, like I said, I believe it's a redundancy, and in as much as we don't allow, or a procedure bylaw does not allow for other discussion outside of agenda items currently during the committee of the whole, even though we have allowed it, it does not allow for it.
So with all due respect, may I have your motion again, just so I can understand exactly what it was, the second one?
Okay, I'll just try to sum it up here then. It's essentially be resolved that council directs staff to remove the questions from the public at the conclusion of the committee of the whole meeting, as it is a redundancy, as the public already has a chance to speak to the agenda items as they come forward.
Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In as much as we have to advertise the change in our procedure bylaw, I don't see this to be a huge difference. I think your point is noted that we need to stick on topic for the committee of the whole meetings, but I think that the chair is able to keep people in line so that they don't talk over their their allotment of time that they're given. And I think we can, I appreciate the public's input at the meetings. I'd like to have it continue.
No one's taking it away.
Yes, but I also concur that on the fact that we do not want the public to seem that we're cutting off their freedom of speech or their points of view, because they do come to our meetings to participate. Once we eliminate that, then, again, we gotta keep it within the realms of reality, though.
Mr. Mayor, I know nobody's actually saying that they can't speak. I'm saying they have the opportunity to speak the whole way through. So that's not taking anything away. So I appreciate that not being skewed, because by no means is that what the angle I'm going for. I'm saying they have the opportunity, and I appreciate their opportunity. I wish they'd be more involved during the discussion as the agenda item comes up, as opposed to waiting to the end to discuss it.
Okay, so how do you feel about the fact of discussing other issues that were not on the agenda of the committee of the whole meeting at the end?
Well, that would be just a point of order, because that has nothing to do with my motion. That would have to be a completely different motion altogether if we were to change that.
Understood. Councillor Crog?
Does anybody else want to speak
Somebody
before I
wants to speak
speak? No? Okay. Okay, we're happening now. I don't stand on ceremony too much, really. I don't know why. I like the openness that members, like you say, they can comment on agenda items while we're actually discussing agenda items. But I do like even though our bylaw says that it's supposed to stick to agenda items, I enjoy the freewheeling, I guess what you would call it, and then just would hope that the chair could control it if it got out of control. But I always look at, what if it's not on the agenda, but it's current, or it's gonna come, or it's from last agenda. If it was on last agenda, can I still speak to it under the minutes of the last agenda, right? So I would just, I just kind of like it.
Councillor Butler?
I think we've had a good discussion on
Yes.
this. I'd like to call the question.
Did we have a second?
Yes, I
Yes.
seconded it for discussion.
So all in favor of that motion?
Made it.
All opposed?
Kind
Motion was defeated.
of hard for me to say so.
Councillor Rashagan, do you have any further on your report?
Yeah, I do. I have one last motion here. Inasmuch as council reports have become an opportunity for certain members of council to grandstand, and further inasmuch as many communities have done away with the council report agenda item in an effort to streamline the process, and while I feel that for some council reports are an important part of what they perceive as important to the agenda, be it resolved that all council reports other than motions be no longer in the verbal but only in the written. And if a council member chooses to have a council report, it should be written and submitted to the agenda no later than the Wednesday before a council meeting, to be attached to the agenda package for those interested to read at their leisure. This will remove the grandstanding that has become a regular part of our council reports, but still include them in our agendas and streamline the process.
May I have a second on that motion?
I'll second for discussion.
Councillor Crog, second. Discussion? Councillor Crog?
My first response in hearing that was, I don't have to write it down. That's a lot like work. Remember I said that whole freewheeling thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, I guess I can see the point, because the people that aren't in the gallery but have access to the agenda online can actually read the reports if they happen to miss tuning in live or appearing here live. So rather than just condensed in the minutes, it'll be more work for me, but I think it might be worth a try.
More work for all of us.
But
Councillor
expect
Ross.
you've seen me type.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I was just wondering if perhaps Mr. Rashagan can give us a better understanding of what he refers to as grandstanding?
Councillor Rashagan, but stay within the parameters.
I believe it's self-explanatory. I think there's a good enough definition out there.
Well done. Any other discussion? Councillor Butler?
I don't know if I interpreted Councillor Wershagen's statement the same as Councillor Ross did, but I appreciate hearing everybody's input from their reports, even if it is a little bit off the agenda items. I think we've got some intelligent people at this table that have got some good insights, and I always have something to learn from it, so I'd like it to continue.
Councillor Wershagen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, again. Again, I'm not saying do away with the council reports. I'm just saying put them in the written as opposed to the verbal. They're not disappearing. They're just going under a different, just what's the word I'm looking for here? Just to be done differently. That's what I'm asking for. And then this was the advice that we were given by the consultants that were brought in to the city.
Councillor Krog?
Yeah, the one nice thing about the verbal reports is that council has a chance to ask questions. I can see this being the same, that I can read Councillor Wershagen's report, and if I have any questions at that part of the agenda, then
You can prep.
I would ask him that based on the written report. So I concur with the motion.
Councillor Thompson?
I hope everybody noticed that my report tonight was short and to the point, and I wasn't grandstanding.
No, paranoid.
To our CEO, Mr. Allen.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just ask, if we could ask for clarity to take place as of when, to start as of when, because I think that this is, if the motion goes through tonight, and that would just basically ask that all the council reports then would be around the rest of the table, but not be.
Yeah, that would terminate the rest of the reports this evening.
I might
Exactly.
be effective after today's meeting.
Councillor Ross?
Yeah, I have no problem with submitting my written report. I just think that it's also opportunity for people to grandstand in writing.
Sure.
And, you know, honestly, if somebody's going to be writing a 2,000-word report or a 3,000-word report, and with cutting and pasting with facts from internet and
Aye, aye, aye.
sites, I'm not really interested in reading that. I'm not interested in hearing it either. I think we need to be fairly concise. So I just think perhaps there also should be some parameters around that as well. And I think we should be reasonable people here, mature, reasonable, intelligent folks that are grounded and should understand what a brief, maybe we need to say a brief report actually entails. I find it a little bit elementary that we have to discuss what a report is.
This is very true.
Any other discussion? Councillor Butler?
In the interest of being brief on our reports, can we call the question?
Yes. All in favor? All opposed?
Great.
Yeah, so it's not carried. It's
It
not.
is.
It is carried.
It is
Oh, yeah,
carried.
it's tied, sorry, yes.
No,
Motion is
it's
carried.
It's 4-3.
So, seeing as we didn't implement this yet tonight, Councillor
No,
Wershagen, are you complete?
I am complete, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Are you done grandstanding?
Yes.
Councillor Ross?
Okay, well, not having a clear idea of what grandstanding actually is. I just want to congratulate the staff for preparing the asset management public presentation. I was only able to drop in very briefly because I had another meeting that night, but the detail that our staff invested to prepare for the event was really impressive, and I just want to acknowledge that. I'm sorry I couldn't stay for the entire evening, but I heard it was a great success. I really enjoyed the team building event that we had, the workshop, where the previous mayor and current councillor from Golden gave pertinent advice on councillor conduct, meeting protocols, and other do's and don'ts that help councillor better serve their constituency. I found it very transparent, the way that they spoke to us, and I learned a lot, and it was very useful. To thank staff for organizing that as well. I enjoyed the Learning Garden grand opening. It was a good indication of what our community is absolutely hungry for. It was very well attended by both young and old. There was a notable attendance of young families, which was really fun, and we were able to make the first garden at that event, so we need more of that. It was positive and it was fun. Just like to see more of that. That's what our town seems to be hungry for and relieved to see. I was really enjoyed, and this is not grandstanding, attending an event in Castlegar to hear Naomi Klein speak about climate change and disaster capitalism. And just as we move forward with strategic planning and asset management, she emphasized that we can't buy ourselves out of climate disaster, and that solutions have to happen in our communities and have to involve more than recycling and simple lifestyle changes. It means we have to be courageous as we make decisions at the community level. On April 14th, I went to the RDKB Area D Community Plan event where they showcased their first draft. It was held at the Seniors Hall at City Park. It was very well attended by citizens from Area D. And then there was a discussion about the current state and the future of agriculture in Area D, including potential changes to the ALR and the Agricultural Land Reserve and the Agricultural Land Commission. Also lots of discussion around the parks and trails, and discussion around partnering more, communicating more with the City of Grand Forks, because Area D really feels very much that we are part of the city as well as part of the country. They presented some of the relevant sections from the current draft of the official community plan for rural Grand Forks, and those are available online. And April 15th was strategic planning, an all-day event, and another mentoring opportunity for council. Thank you. That's my report.
Councillor Hammond.
Okay. On April the 8th, I attended the asset management presentation at Gallery 2. Christina Benti, Urban Systems, and our own CAO, Mr. Allen, did an excellent presentation showing the need for our infrastructure replacement, our costs. If anybody had any questions about anything to do with the city, that was a good place to get the answers. It was very transparent. It talked about costs, it talked about our budget, how much it would take to replace some of our infrastructure, and the best way to get there. On April the 9th, we had a team building workshop here with Christina Benti and Caleb Moss. Councillor Thompson accompanied me on the Gilpin Lost Lake field trip. Barry Brando and other concerned people came, and we looked at some of the watershed management problems on some of the lakes. The fence that he rebuilt out off of Lost Lake, that fence used to be in the lake, and now it's back 30 feet, and there's still one side of the lake that needs to be protected because the fence is still in on that side. So later that afternoon, we attended a Learning Garden ceremony and groundbreaking. That evening, Water Matters presentation at Seniors Park, and there was an announcement made prior to that, the meeting starting, that Nature's Trust had come through with the funding for fencing for the Nature's Trust land up on the Gilpin grasslands, which was good news. They were short $1,000, and we're looking for donations, so if anybody can assist, that's wonderful. It also showed the need for riparian areas alongside our rivers and streams, which is really important, and I think we're going to hear a lot more about that. April the 15th was the all-day strategic planning session. It was a good, a very good workshop. April the 15th, Biz After Biz at Work and Play, and I'm very impressed with Amber's store and what she's done with it, and I think she's going to, I wish her all the best. I think she's going to have great success. April 16th was the pharmacy grand opening after their new renovations, and it's looking great. Tomorrow we're leaving for Nakusp for the AKBLG AGM. So I will not be attending the deer count that's happening at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the deer committee meeting at 11 o'clock, or the chamber board meeting in the afternoon. And I usually keep my reports brief, but I'm quite concerned about an issue that's happening right now. Regarding the CBC interview with Donald Farrand. Recently there was a CBC radio interview with Donald Farrand questioning the rehiring of our CAO, Doug Allen. I'm totally dismayed that this is still an issue and that there are still some people out there who continue to try and expose a conspiracy that doesn't exist. When I decided to run for council, I was looking forward to working with Mr. Allen. I was extremely disappointed to find out that within a week of the election, a mutual agreement between the past council and Mr. Allen had been made to terminate his employment. The behavior of a minority of residents and non-residents over the installation of water meters was appalling, such that bullying, intimidation, harassment, and threats were directed towards Mr. Allen and his family. WorkSafe BC would not tolerate such behavior in the workplace, and our past council agreed that they could not force someone to work in an unsafe environment. Our new council languished meeting after meeting for several months, with our gallery taken over by anti-water meter protesters. Eventually, we began to see more and more support at these meetings by residents who supported the issue. So in order to get back on track with city business, we made a motion to continue with the water meter installations as outlined in the contract with Neptune. During this time, staff morale was at an all-time low, and the city was at risk of losing some very competent and dedicated staff. This council was tasked with hiring a new CAO. We received approximately 40 resumes, shortlisted to 6 and interviewed 5 by Skype. Although there were a few very good candidates, not one came close to Mr. Allen. He had the background, the history, and the knowledge that was required to put Grand Forks back on track. He was also working in the background as a consultant to the city, as per the terms of his severance package. Mr. Allen is well respected in the province and had developed an asset management plan that ranked Grand Forks in the top 9 communities in BC. I saw more positive action taken in Grand Forks during Mr. Allen's 2 years as CAO than any of the previous administrations that I had experienced. So when a motion was made to contact him to see if he'd be interested, the majority of council voted yes. With the water meter issue behind us now, Mr. Allen agreed. This council negotiated a very fair contract for the city for Mr. Allen's return, much less than if we'd hired a new CAO and felt that we made the best decision for this community. Less salary, less vacation time, 400 hours of overtime, a 3-year contract instead of 2 at the lower wage. The severance package was paid would still have been spent regardless of who was hired. Was I entirely happy with this arrangement? No. Did I think it was the best possible scenario for our city? Yes. I, for one, could not in good conscience uproot another family and bring them here without them knowing the full background of what had transpired during the previous year. A new CAO would have cost us relocation expenses, taken time to get up to speed, and there would have been lack of continuity with the work in place. I know that some of those who were the most outspoken with regards to the water meters are not happy that Mr. Allen is back, but to paraphrase someone else's comments, to keep pulling the scab off the wound is only giving Grand Forks a black eye. If Mr. Farrand proceeds with his request for an investigation by the Attorney General, the taxpayers need to know that the cost to the city will be upwards of $100,000. I'm extremely dismayed at how a few individuals can create such havoc. If you have questions, call a counselor. Come to council meetings, watch the videos. Come to our open houses and workshops. Read the press releases, but please don't post uninformed information on social media, which leads to more speculation. Council is trying to make the best possible decisions for this community, but find ourselves continually having to spend our time putting out fires. Being on council is no easy task. There is an infinite number of issues that come before us, and we endeavor to make decisions that are in the best interest of the majority in our community. We understand that we'll never be able to please everyone, so acknowledging your support when you're happy with a decision goes a long way in affirming that we're doing the right thing. Thank you.
Councilor Crowd, other than your RDKV report, do you have a report?
I have nothing new to add.
As mayor, I would just like to say that I echo the reports of the councillors. And I would just like to congratulate our local entrepreneurs and merchants. Hopefully, their endeavors will set a precedent for others. I'd like to thank all of council for their reports. May I have a motion to receive the reports? Councillor Wershagen and Councillor Ross.
Just
Discussion?
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to ask Councillor Hammett about the deer committee. I've noticed that there's been some other deers in town that have had their fur chafed off by the collars that are on them, and I'm just hoping that those collars will be removed soon. Just if she could clarify, that'd be great.
I think we're deviating off course a bit.
It
here,
was
but-
in her report, that's why I'm asking.
The
Deer count,
the-
it's nothing to do with the collars.
Oh, okay.
deer committee is tomorrow, and I won't be there.
So, point of order, no. Is there any other further discussion relevant to this? So seeing as this will be our last verbal discussions. All in favor? So carried. We now will have a report from our RDKB representative, Mr. Councillor Crocker.
There have been no meetings since our last meeting.
And I was so looking forward to it.
I was gonna write that. No, we haven't had any meetings since then.
Okay, so there's nothing else.
No.
Any discussion on? Okay. Thank you for your non-report.
I'll move to receive that.
I have a motion to receive the non-report.
Yeah.
Councillor Shaden, Councillor Thompson, all in favor? So carried. All right.
I think I'll do that.
Okay, we'll now move on to our information items. I'd like to have a motion for council to receive the CRIP survey for information, which is our Climate Action Revenue Incentive Program.
So moved.
Councillor Thompson. Councillor Crowder. Do we want to have any discussion? All in favor to receive the information? So carried. We now move on to our bylaws section, and our Chief Financial Officer, Roxanne Shepherd, will be, let's see, asking council make a motion to receive the first three readings of our 2015 tax rates bylaw 2012. May I have a motion for that? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Wershagen. Any discussion? Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just as much as I missed the last meeting, I did watch it, and the budget was set, and I know that by the budget that we've set, we do need to increase taxes by what this rate is proposing. However, I wasn't in favor of the budget increase that was put forward, so I will be voting against this motion. I also realize that there's business owners in the community that have concerns with these rate increases as well as residents on fixed incomes, so I'll have to vote against it.
So duly noted. Is there any other discussions? All in favor? All opposed? Councillor Butler. So carried. Again, from our Chief Financial Officer, the 2015 wastewater rates amendment. That council give first three readings to bylaw 2013 sewer regulations amendment 2015. May I have a motion for that effect? Councillor Wershagen, Councillor Thompson. Any discussion or debate? All in favor? So carried. Now from our Manager of Development Engineering Department is to amend the current zoning bylaw by adding permitted use of tool and equipment rental facilities, the I-2 General Industrial Zone. I'm recommending council give a third reading to the zoning bylaw amendment 1606-A2 2015 and continue with the statutory requirements for amending bylaws in the accordance with the Local Government Act. May I have a motion for that? Councillor Wershagen. Councillor Butler. Any discussion or debate? Councillor Wershagen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to point out that we held a public hearing earlier tonight and nobody showed up for it.
Thank you. Is there any other discussions or debate on this issue? All in favor? So carried. Again, from our Management and Development Engineering Department, to amend the current zoning bylaw by rezoning the property located at 832 64th Avenue from the current R1 single and two-family residential to R4 rural residential, and review the sustainable community plan designation to determine if an amendment is required. And I recommend council give the first and second readings to the City of Grand Forks zoning bylaw amendment number 1606-A3 2015 and proceed with the statutory requirements for amending the bylaws in the Local Government Act. May I have a motion to that effect? Councillor Krog, Councillor Butler. Any discussion or debate? All in favor? So carried. From our Chief Financial Officer Department, the 2015 water rates amendment. I recommend that council give first three readings to bylaw 2014 water regulation amendment 2015. May I have a motion? Councillor Thompson. May I have a second? Councillor Wurshagan. Any discussion or debate? Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question for staff. In, I think it's Schedule A here, it talks about installation of water meters to be at cost by the contractor, including any additional service costs itemized in Section D plus 15%. I'm just curious, is that 15% coming to the city? Is that the...
To our CEO, Mr. Allen.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there's a cost for the implementation of for the finance department to implement that into the software program, so there's time that's considered to be applicable to that. So for us, so yeah, the answer is yes. It's received by the city.
Does that answer your question, Councillor?
Yeah.
Councillor Butler again.
Just another question on the manual read charge. I think it's $25 per reading. Being as water meters has been such a controversial issue in our town, especially with RF radiation, I think there's people that might want to opt out for the non-radio read meters, but such a cost is quite prohibitive. I know in other countries they have a reading just twice a year. In New Zealand, for example, in which case $25 might not be so much, but as a